Today's video is a basic video of birch trees in fall, and I'm taking you through the very basic steps of doing what we call underpainting by outlining what you need to have in black, and painting over it you'll be able to actually see the existing lines. Again, you don't want to do this unless you don't mind the lines being visible. So I'm creating basically just very skinny triangles right now, adding some horizontal lines onto the triangles. Notice that they are uneven, they're not exact, otherwise it'll look like zebras, so make sure that you try to keep them separated and varied. Branches as well should be separated and varied. You do not want to make a lot of the same designs on your tree. Make sure that as you're working with this, that your branches always go up towards the top of the page. In this process, we are mixing up the paint and applying it directly over top of the existing black and white. It is a very simple mixture of yellow and white, and notice that I'm dabbing it all over on the left hand side. I'm making sure that I allow for some areas to stay white because we want to be able to see part of the sky through the trees. A lot of the mistakes that most people make when creating trees is they try to fill in those empty spaces, and the important thing with creating a tree is to have the foliage so that you can actually see through it. I'm adding red over top of my yellow on the right hand side. Notice that I did add a few splotches of yellow on the right, and I'm going to outline those with the red. I'm actually painting over top of part of the tree as well, and that is okay because you figure that the canopy will allow you to be able to see through some of the leaves. Again, applying this, I want to make sure that I leave plenty of spaces in between so it looks like a lacy canopy. I'm going to create a little bit of orange. That's just mixing a little bit of that same red mixture with the yellow that I originally had and putting that on both sides to create a sense of balance. As I'm working with this, I want to just make sure that wherever I'm putting paint, that I want to make sure that that is exactly where I want it to be, because with acrylics it's kind of difficult to cover up. It's not impossible, but it's difficult. As you will see here, we're creating the shadows on the sides of the trees. This is just a mixture blue, green, and mostly white. Notice you still can see the black through the blue mixture. By adding this to my trees, it creates a sense of there being some dimension in the trees. It's not just skinny triangles anymore. It will look cylindrical. I'm also taking that same blue mixture and putting it in some of the empty spots in the sky. If you happen to pick up some of the residual paint, don't worry too much about it because it will go into those leaves anyway. But creating that sense of there being a little bit of blue coming through and leaving some white to look like light coming through the trees. The last thing I'm doing is touching up my black, making sure that my branches are showing within the picture. And this is what our final product looks like up close.